Hello, my friends. Welcome to Understanding the Model. This is what we're going to talk about today. This is a coaching tool that I use in my practice working with one-on-one clients, in my workshops that I do, and so it's the foundation of my coaching practice. It's the foundation of all the classes, everything that I teach. It's one of the primary tools that I use on an ongoing basis. And so I want to start with introducing this today. For those of you that just recently took my 2-month course on processing difficult emotions, you will sort of understand as we go through this, you'll see how each of these components often get tied into my worksheets. For those of you that have attended many of my free workshops, you'll see that I have either introduced this tool or have introduced components that exist within this tool. And as we move forward with the content for this entire year that we are rolling out around creating relationships you love, when I talk about money, finance, weight loss, stress management, stress and burnout, especially the key component of stress and burnout that I cover the most is emotional exhaustion. And so all of these things, all of the behaviors, the actions that we're trying to cultivate or change, the emotions that we're trying to get out of or create, all of this stuff is tied into this tool, okay? And so I want to begin by introducing it to you. Normally when we do my workshops, I'll write these out. I think there's something really powerful about sitting down and writing it out and going through this together. But you're gonna have many opportunities to see me do that over the coming weeks and months. And so I highly encourage you to attend the live workshops, attend the live events, schedule your coaching calls with me, and we're going to go through models that you have in your life, your own thoughts, behaviors, emotions, all that kind of stuff. And so there's something really powerful about sitting down and doing this one-on-one or even in a group in a live session where we can really hash this out together. So I want to encourage you to show up to those live events and really participate so that you can really master this tool. But for now, I just want to give you an overview. I want to introduce it to you, and I'm just going to talk through some of the applications, some of the scenarios that I have available here in this book in order for you to sort of just get an idea of how this works. Again, this is called the model. This is the coaching tool that Brooke Castillo has developed and that I use primarily in my business based on the work of Byron Katie and many other thought leaders in the field of emotional management. And there are 5 components, as you can see listed out here, and they're all connected. The thing to understand is that, first of all, circumstances are neutral, okay? Many people want to give their power away to circumstances, situations, things that are out of their control. This is a very natural thing for our brains to do, and we're not going to talk too much about why we do that, but it is a normal human behavior. So many people want to blame time, money, their spouses, their bosses, their job, their kids, their parents, all this kind of stuff, all these circumstances in our lives that exist, and we often think that's the reason that we're unhappy, or that's the reason why we can't do something, right? Oh man, I'd really love to sign up for a coaching program with you. I'd really love to do some relationship coaching, some career coaching. I'd love to take that class, that workshop, but... right? Notice your buts. What are the objections that your brain is feeding you? But I just don't have the time right now. I just don't have the money, right? My husband would never let me do that. It's not in the budget. And so we give our power away to all these other circumstances, and we just tell ourselves, well, I'm so busy with the kids and with school and my job, there's no way I could fit that in, right? I don't have the time. And so we're saying that the time is the reason we can't get the results we want in our lives. Or the money, right? Oh gosh, $200, $2,000, whatever it is, $6,000, $20,000, right? We tell ourselves that we don't have the capacity, the creativity, the resourcefulness to figure that out. We tell ourselves that we don't have the ability to manage our time. We don't have the ability to create money. We don't have the ability to get creative, to find a way, right? And many of us, the money, for me, I'll have the money sitting in my savings account, but I'll tell myself, oh, but that's for an emergency, or I'm saving for a remodel, or I'm redoing my kitchen, or I'm about to take the kids to Disneyland, right? So all this money is there. It's just allocated for something else. And so it's all about our priorities, right? What are the thoughts that we're actually thinking about the money? And so, or about the time, or about whatever the situation is. So this is the part about the model that's important to understand. All of the feelings and emotions that we have in our lives that keep us stuck, fear, anxiety, overwhelm, confusion, anger, shame, guilt, envy, whatever it is, all these negative emotions that we so often get stuck in, self-doubt. These emotions are not created by circumstances. The facts, right? The fact is I work a 60-hour work week. That's measurable. I can prove it in a court of law. The fact is that I make $8 an hour. I can show you my pay stub. The fact is that I have $50 in my bank account, right? So we can say I don't have the money, I can show it, I can prove it, and we think, or the fact might be that I'm $30,000 in debt. Here's my student loan bill, or whatever it is, credit card bill. But the fact, the circumstance, does not create the emotion of fear, of scarcity, whatever it is that you're feeling. It's created by the thought. What is it that you're believing? Because the fact of the matter is, the reality is, I can point to multiple people. I'm coaching people right now, single moms that are working however many jobs and are actively going back to school and have still figured out the time to come do coaching with me, right? She's busy, just as busy as you, maybe even more busy, has more obligations, more on her plate, but her thought about the time is different, right? She's like, I will figure it out. I will find a way. I can move this here. I can move that there. Her mind goes into a more creative space. What can I do? Maybe I can delegate a task. Maybe I can move something later on in the week. Maybe I can, whatever it is. But there are people, it's like that old adage, right? If you want something done, give it to a busy person type thing. So I can look at people in my life coach, Brooke, she's running like a $20 million business. She's got all these balls in the air, and she's got kids and dogs and all the stuff going on in her life. And yet it's almost as though she has more time than I do. What is that about? And so time, when we look at time, the circumstance of time, we all have the same amount of time in the day. And the result that we get with that time has way more to do with our mindset about it. How are we looking at it? Are we looking at this with limiting self-beliefs in a limited capacity? Or what is the story that we're telling ourselves? Are we telling ourselves a more empowering story? A story that says, yes, I'm a badass, and I can go back to school, and I can raise my kids, and I can get coaching, and I can go to therapy, and I can make it to the gym, and I can, whatever it might be. And I'm not advocating for people to just take on more than that they can handle or anything like that. What I'm saying is that I believe that we are powerful beyond our own belief. I think so often we give our power away to something, when the reality is, when we decide what's important to us, you just might be able to accomplish more than you've ever given yourself credit for. And so it's really important to just look at, it's not about the choice you make, whether you go to the gym or don't go to the gym, whether you sign up for that master's degree program or you don't sign up for the master's degree program. I believe that we are powerful enough to do whatever we set our minds to. I believe there's a path, and sometimes that means delegation. Sometimes that means saying no to other things that are less important. Okay? And so there's something to be said for looking and prioritizing and really figuring out what's important to me. Can I ask for help? What are all the ways that I can make this thing happen for myself? And so just know that it's not about the time, it's not about the money. I know people who are $30,000 in debt who feel amazing about that, and they're excited because they're investing in their business or they're investing in school. They know that they're going to pay it back, in however, once they finish their program. And so their thoughts about it are empowering, excited, yes, 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 as opposed to people who might be thinking thoughts that are really defeating, and they feel really in the gutter. They feel overwhelmed. They feel shame. They feel guilt. They feel uncertain. The uncertainty or the fear is not because of the debt. It's because of the thought you're having about the debt. Does this make sense? So we're going to walk through all of this. And the important thing to know is the mindset that you have about time, about money, about your body, about your marriage, your kids. Those thoughts, those stories and belief systems, they impact your emotions. They impact the way that you feel, which is so important because depending on the way you feel, that's what's going to determine your life. That's what's going to determine the actions that you take and the results that you get. Actions, behaviors are driven by emotion. They're driven by the way that you feel and the things that you believe. So that's what this model shows you, that the circumstances, the facts in your life, how much money you have, how much you weigh when you step on the scale, all these things, how much free time you have, whatever that is, these circumstances are neutral. Two people can be in the exact same situation, exact same circumstance, and have a completely different outcome. And the reason is because those circumstances trigger thoughts. And so we have thoughts. That's the second step, is a situation or a circumstance presents itself, and then we have a thought about it. And that thought is what creates our emotion, the thought. And that emotion that we feel will then generate a behavior or an action. And those actions, those behaviors, the way we show up in the world is what determines our results. It's what determines the relationship we have with our kids, the relationship we have with our spouse, the amount of money we make, whether we pay off our debt, whether or not we lose the weight or gain the weight or build the muscle, whether or not we make it to the gym, whether or not we take that class, get that therapy, go back to school. All of the results are created in this order. So I'm going to read a couple examples, and like I said, I'm not going to write them out today, even though I sometimes do think that can be more helpful to really see it, but I'm just going to talk you through it. And again, I want to encourage you to show up to the live events, show up to the workshops, schedule your coaching calls if you're in one of my programs, and we'll walk through it in more detail, deeper together as it applies to your life, and I'm really going to show you how this works.